I could hear the bones breaking from 20 feet away. People ask Reddit? Former convicts of Reddit, what did happen to pedophiles in prison? When you first get there, your counselor will ask you if there's any reason that you can't walk the yard or be in general population. This is usually where you make the decision to do your time in the SHU all alone, or take your chances out with everyone else. You do need to have a good reason though: child molester, gang issues, there's a hit on you from the last place you stayed, you're a snitch, etc. When you get settled in, the shot caller from your race will approach you. You're told something like this: you have 1 week to get us your paperwork so we can make sure you're not a chamo or have no Rule 35s. If you don't provide this in a week, we'll kill you. Here's a toothbrush, some snacks, some soap, let me know if you need anything. Chamo equals child molester. Rule 35 equals reduced sentence for snitching on someone. So, you show them your paperwork, and if you're clean you're good to go. If you don't show paperwork, or you're not clean, you will be killed within the next week. For some reason, new guys do not take this seriously. They either don't produce their paperwork, or they actually produce it knowing that there's less than desirable stuff on there. What happens to them? Stabbed 27 times, all in a matter of seconds. Face/head stomped on so hard until it just cracks open and gunk leaks out. Mouth/jaw shattered with a pool stick or pool ball. 2 guys killed in about 60 seconds by a tiny Mexican holding just a bocce ball. Native Americans pretend like it's all good. 10 of them go into the sweat lodge for religious reasons, only 9 come out. 10th guy had a clean gash in his head from a shovel. Cellmate hung the guy with a bed sheet to make it look like suicide. Why do these guys take chances with trying to be in general population? Because the SHU sucks. You're by yourself, no TV, 3 showers a week, no access to things like the prison barber. Limited access to phones, video visitations, constant video monitoring to prevent suicide, and every 18 months they ship you to a new prison. If you're looking at 40 years for child rape, that can be a long time to live in those conditions. Sometimes guys will stay in general population knowing that they will get killed simply because they don't want to be there but can't commit suicide in the SHU. Reply: that's nice of them, but do they expect something in return for the welcome package? Also, how would one get their papers? Do you just ask from them and you're given them? Pool stick, pool ball, bocce ball, shovel, sweat lodge? WTF, is this a prison country club? Answer: federal prison. Yes. The time is much easier than time in a county or state jail. Eventually their pool tables were donated to a lower security prison. The shovel ended up staying because the Native Americans filed suit about their religious freedoms being infringed upon by not being able to properly operate a sweat lodge without a shovel. Reply: the pool ball thing, I've heard that exact story. I used to work with this black guy from Chicago. He was this big fat guy, like 350 to 400 pounds, and looked rough as hell, but was nice as could be. I was just a college kid at the time and working in this warehouse, so I tried to be nice to all of them. One day the big fat guy asks if he can get a ride with me at lunch. Most of the people ate there, but I'd usually go to the gas station. Anyway, he was missing all of his teeth on his left side, all of them, top and bottom. As we were driving, I kept looking over at him, so I asked him what that was about. He told me how he was from Chicago and spent 5 years in prison. One day when he was in there, they were playing pool and some new guy snuck up and hit him in the side of the face while holding a cue ball. Bewildered, I asked him what happened next, and he told me that he'd been beaten unconscious and he woke up a day later in a hospital bed. And then what? I asked him. He goes, a few days later, I caught him in the gym, and I hit him in the side of the face with a 5 pounds weight. Broke every bone in his face. Again, I asked him. And then? And he tells me after that, me and him became best friends. We're still friends to this day. I was just in a high security felony wing of jail waiting for extradition to another state, not in prison at the time. Well, the few that came in were told to go to seg or get their fucking heads busted every day till they did. The one dude came in and refused to leave, was yelled at, spit on, and threatened until everyone had enough. 3 dudes ran up in his cell and threw him the most vicious beating you can imagine. I remember him crawling out of his cell and the dude pulling him back in for more. I could hear the bones breaking from 20 feet away. He died on the way to the hospital. All the guys that took part were there on murder beefs anyway, so the extra 5 years they got was worth it to them. This was an extreme case as the jail was overpopulated and they tried to sneak the chamos in Gen Pop because seg was full. Everywhere else I was incarcerated they keep the touchers far away from us. Reply: how do the rest of the inmates find out a person is a child molester? Do the chamos, new word I learned today, ever try to lie about what they did in order to be more accepted? Answer: I worked in a jail last year as their medical provider. They always know, word gets around fast. Usually the child molester cases are highly publicized. The nurses also always know, and while they will still medically take care of a child molester, they hate them and won't give them what they want, extra mattress/Tylenol/pain meds, unless absolutely necessary. Reply: there was another Reddit AMA a guy did recently. He was in prison for a while. Someone asked him the same question and he said that everyone is given papers when they're processed by the court and enter the prison. You have to keep this paperwork with you at all times, usually in your cell. When you're new, people will ask to see your papers. If you refuse to show them, then they know something is up and will just assume you're a child molester and fuck you up. Other times guards will tip off an inmate because they've got a special arrangement going on or just want to see the chamo get his without getting their hands dirty. He said in some cases the officials can exclude details or omit things for the prisoner's safety, but everyone ends up finding out the real reason someone is in due to the guards tipping people off. I'll see if I can find the AMA. I was in HDSP for some time due to a drug crime. I ran with a PESA car, Hispanic non-gang related, cartel members okay. Upon entering while in the fish tank 30 days in your cell with a cellie, you see a caseworker who asks you if you want to hit GP, general population, or protective custody. Here you can choose, if you're stupid, molested a child, and select GP. The moment your stay in the fish tank is over, you are moved to the level 3 yard. Once in level 3, your cellie will ask you your PSI, pre-sentence investigation report. This will have your crime and if you talk to the cops act. This paperwork will be handed over to the key holder, the leader of the car. If you're clean, no issue. If your paperwork is dirty for molesting a child, etc., they will tell you it's okay, we all make mistakes act. In the background we are planning to take you out. For us it was either pay the Southsiders to clean our mess or we can keep it within the PESA car. HDSP is in the desert and the yard is covered in rocks. We would wait until chow time. Dinner during winter, breakfast during summer. When we had cover of darkness walking to the chow hall, we would have pre-planted a special rock. Nearing said rock, the line would lose its form and the selected person picks up said rock and slams it against the person's head as hard as possible. Normally person would drop, bleed, and we continue as nothing happened, throwing away used rock. If he person would not drop back, 1 and 2 would either start beating up the person. Really depends on how bad they fucked up. If it was a true fuck up, a shank would be used. In 2 years only saw this happen 2 times, none by the Paisas but by the Southsiders. Spent 10 months in the Texas prison system for manslaughter. FYI, first offense, and it was an accident, which is why it was a short sentence. They were typically berated and yelled at pretty badly. Most of them that stuck around the Gen Pop dorms were honest and just pervs. She was 16, he was 22. That kind of shit. We had one guy, raped both his daughters from 4 on up. Finally his then 14-year/0 hit her cell phone and recorded it happening to her younger sister. Spoiler, this is graphic. One night I woke up to pee and my neighbor, bed at my feet, we were in rows, pulled me back down. Told me not to go to the bathroom. I'm new to this and don't know any better and brushed it off. Anyways, 3 guys had the Chester pinned down, raping him. At this point all I really saw was blood or shit and in his face. It looked like a sock wrapped around a broomstick shoved sideways in his mouth to keep him quiet. The scary part was the sound. There were 56 men in this dorm. There wasn't enough sound to wake up hardly anyone. All this lasted maybe 1 second, and I went back to bed. I didn't sleep that night or the next at all. That man spent the rest of the time I had there with his head down or swinging wildly at anyone who even looked at him wrong. The worst part is most everyone acted like it was normal and I didn't do a damn thing about it. I went with the flow. I lived in the same large, gymnasium-sized, room for 5 months with him and could never look at him knowing I didn't help. Prison is hell. People act like it's what they deserve. If our government's elect spent 1 week in a prison, we would see reform so fast. I only made it because I was smart. A few well-respected people basically said this guy's not coming back, don't fuck with him, and I would build a tattoo gun or radio, steal from work. Guards never looked twice at me. I still got stabbed, got beaten and had to hurt a few people. For anyone wondering, I crashed going 14 miles per hour over the limit, 74 in a 60. My best friend didn't have a seat belt on and flew out when we flipped. I doubt I'll ever be normal and can hardly live with myself some days. I admitted at the EMT to drinking 4 hours prior to the crash. I thought my legs were broken and wanted to be honest before I got pumped full of meds, and even though I knew I was okay to drive and the blood work came back negative, a cop had me saying it on video and I got charged with manslaughter. Apparently screaming sorry at the top of my lungs at my dead friend's body looked bad too, according to my lawyer, and made me look guilty. I signed a plea. Reply? Seriously, Han, what could you have done? Even though it doesn't feel right, self-preservation is most important most of the time. Your story scares me because of the plea deal. The blood work was good and yet they felt your emotional cries at the scene were enough to even go to trial blows my mind. Who benefited from you being charged and going to prison? You? No, you didn't need it. Society? No, you don't endanger us. Keep your head up and work on forgiving yourself. Thank you for listening to another B-Town Reddit Stories episode. Hit the subscribe button and check out our channel for more stories. Let us know your opinion about this topic in the comments.